I had initially intended to care for Kathy until she died here at home. And a whole bunch of stuff happened with my health, and it was not to be. So I went through extreme grief about Kathy going to an institution. It was against everything that I had wanted for her. I was heartbroken, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
devastated. Um, and of course, the person who I would go to with that level of loss and grief would be Kathy, but I had to
Yeah.
from that. So what had happened is I had developed a seizure disorder right out of the blue. I totaled my car. I ended up in the ICU. And then more seizures started happening, and they were idiopathic, didn't know why. So, and along with that, associated with that, I became literally psychotic. So I really don't remember much about February, March, or April. I kind of came to after becoming stabilized on a drug called Dilantin. It was like 4 days. It was Friday, and I was told that on Monday, Kathy was going to long-term care. So it was devastating. Because my background and training is in caring for people with disability, I knew that I could do it. Now, we had put Kathy on a waiting list 2 years before as a kind of silver bullet, never intending to put her in. And while I was in this totally confused state, the call came. There's a spot for Kathy. And so my little sister felt she had no choice, that it was
Mm-hmm.
that she could do. And so it led to, I was so angry with my little sister, Laurelyn. I didn't speak to her for 3 months. We had never had a fight in our lives. And that's not an exaggeration. I was outraged. I was outraged.
Both of my grandparents during the later parts of COVID last year. And, they had 4 children, my mom and her siblings, and they loved them so much. They had a hard time when they were still cognitively intact and healthy to say, this person is my person and this is who I want to delegate for me, because they, I think, didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
First of all, I'm so sorry. That's 2 grandparents. That's a huge
Thank
loss.
you.
Sorry. Yeah, well, Kathy picked me,
Mm-hmm.
and she picked our other sister. So there's 2 of us, but either or can make that decision. Now that worked because Kathy's kids didn't live here, didn't live with her. It never created any problem for them. They completely understood.
Right.
So it worked out smoothly for us.
I can understand that. And again, Kathy got her diagnosis and she made a plan and she stuck with it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But do you have advice for family members that are just starting to experience those types of conversations where they're having to make decisions for and with their loved one and not everybody agrees?
Yeah, it's really tough. By the way, I've completely forgiven my sister for this, but here's one thing I would say is that whoever's doing most of the lifting should get to do most of the deciding. That's one thing I would say. And unless, there's ever issues of like abuse of any kind, like that's the caveat. But whoever's doing most of the work should get to make most of the decisions. Ideally, you can have like candid, open, collaborative discussions, but not all families can do that. So get yourself a power of attorney or whatever it is that is called in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Or what,
Same.
put it in place. And if you are the name on that document, you get to make the decisions. Have everyone understand that thoroughly. Now, that doesn't mean, don't be a jerk about it, but, and listen to what everyone says, because in the end, everyone has hopefully the best interests of their loved one at heart.
Your family has come up with a strategy for advocating to avoid sort of having one person always be the person that asks for things.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit and use the word annoying the staff And so I think it would be really good perspective for long-term care individuals that work in that setting to hear you say it and how it affects you when it's almost like you go to the doctor and you're afraid to ask for things you need because you don't want to be annoying or you don't want to seem like
Exactly.
you're seeking something. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple of things to say about that. The first one is Kathy lives there. It's her home, and everyone there works for Kathy. Don't defer to professionals. They defer to you. So, in other words, you're in charge, but in the nicest way possible. So, if someone gives you advice that you don't think is correct, reject it. Okay. Always respectfully, because you are the one with the doctorate in your family member. Now, what we've done not to annoy people, though, is so as you can see, I'm fairly dominant personality, and I'm also extremely verbal. My other sister, Laurelyn, she's so much nicer than me, and they never see her. You know, she lives in Gatineau, like Quebec, like the other side of the country. So what we've done, because I worked in long-term care, right? I would be the worst person. I would be nitpicking about everything. So we decided, Jean, you're not doing it. Plus, Laurelyn being far away, she needs a job, you know, to feel like she's participating in Kathy's care because she loves her sister as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Laurelyn's got this charming, funny personality. She does all of the contact with the director of care for Kathy in a way that is just perfect. Chef's kiss, perfect. Because of my temper and, you know, just the way I'm built, I don't think I would be as successful. And we don't want to annoy them
Mm-hmm.
because them letting us bring Kathy home is actually against the health authorities' policy. So we really, really appreciate that. Also,
Mm-hmm.
because I worked in healthcare for so long and I was a manager, a lot of the people that work there know me. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully I didn't do anything mean to them. But you know, so I just keep my distance. The only thing
Yeah.
the only interaction that I have is with like the family meetings, and every email that Laurelyn sends, we collaborate on every single one. When Kathy first went into long-term care, her capacities completely hurtled to, you know, like to the abyss. She became so much more disabled really than she had been before. And there were certain behaviors that she exhibits now that are almost intolerable for me to be around. And the main one being shadowing. I cannot do anything. I cannot get up off the chair. I can't move. And it's not just that she follows me, it's that she's completely in my space at all times. And I'm an introverted person. I like to read. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I if if I'm in my room, the door will knock and I literally flinch. So and you know, I will not display my irritation towards Kathy, so I internalize it all and suppress it. But there's a lot of exhausting things about being with someone with Kathy's level of dementia. You know, it's about manufacturing surprise about something you've heard 129 times that day. You know, it's about so many things. You know, she's developed weird tics of behavior that you have to kind of laugh at because that's what she wants, but it's really not funny. It's about, you know, it's about watching her suffer, you know, and trying to soothe her away from it's all exhausting. It's about, you know, which hill do you you know, take a stand on, you know, like Kathy, if you don't want to wear pajamas, okay, you can sleep in your jeans. You know, like I used to have these battles with her about stuff like that. It's about not arguing, and you know, it's just all of it takes so much patience and self-control, which is why I said earlier that like Kathy's coming home in a few hours, and oh God, I can hardly wait to see her, and I can hardly wait till Sunday comes around. Because
It's conflicting emotions.
absolutely.
Uh, so we have to be able to laugh at hard parts.
Yes.
Another one of your sayings.
Yes.
Explain that concept.
Okay. So, for example, Sundays. It's a hard day for a few reasons. She knows she's going to head back, and so she has to manage a lot of anxiety around that because once she knows, because of time, right? So once she knows, oh, today's the day I go back. Oh, I have to start packing my stuff and all this repetitive behavior. And are we going to go now? And are we going to go now? And a lot of anxiety builds up. But what she'll do is she'll, in the midst of all this, I'll say, yeah, it's Sunday. And she'll look at me slyly and she'll say, should we go to church, Jean? Which is a joke if you know us. The thing about Kathy, the good thing that long-term care has provided her with is that the staff are so freaking good with her. And she relates much more to the staff than the residents. Because you
Mm-hmm.
walk in that place and there's people, like many people, just sitting blank. They're far more advanced than her. So it's hard to form a connection with a person when they're not communicative, right?
Yeah.
The staff make her feel welcome. She gets to feel, like she's constantly telling them about her TikTok. I'm sure they're sick of hearing about it, but they make her feel special. So her main connection really is the staff. And
Yeah.
it's really sweet to see, like one of the reasons we get her back easily on Sunday is because of the welcome she gets from the staff when she returns. And so that simple thing, like we were talking in the beginning about how, counterintuitive it is to just keep someone there and never let them leave, never let them
Mm-hmm.
go home to their families. But just a simple thing like, having something baked in that makes it so much fun to go back might be a
Mm-hmm.
great way to fix that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's a good
Kathy's back.
good concept.
Yeah.